How's it, guys? This is Dayvy, FP, and welcome back to the Deadline with Dayvy livestream. This livestream is going to be before blank game week 18. I'm pretty sure all of you guys are absolutely hyped to see how this game week is going to go, or you could be like me and just are waiting for the deadline to come because this whole strategy and the whole planning has completely gone to shreds and nothing of it kind of matters. So before we get into the live stream, I just want to say apologies if the voice is a little bit ropey. No, I have not got my friend to do this live stream for me. I'm just currently a little bit ill, so that's why the voice is a little bit raspy/ropey, as I mentioned. Started the stream right on time for all of you guys who complain that I'm always late, so let's get straight into it. I think what I'm going to start off by doing is we're going to be creating the free hit draft. Yes, I'm probably going to be using the free hit. Actually, not even probably, I definitely will be using it, because if I was to use another strategy, I should have done a little bit of planning. So I'll be going through my free hit draft, and then I'll be going over what selections I do. You guys can also put your inputs. Maybe you think I should go for another goalkeeper, another defender. I'll be running through those, and then I'll answer your guys' questions. And along the way, if you guys do have questions, we can also answer them. I do appreciate all the get well soon messages. Saw those on the last video, so I always do appreciate the love from you guys. But let's get straight into it. So Onur is saying, I thought you tricked everyone that you will not use it. So basically, I kind of have to, because I have 4 players for game week 18. So I have to use one chip. I could use the wild card, or I could use the free hit. But I think I'm just going to stick with the strategy, and then we take an absolute ridiculous amount of hits next game week if that Leeds fixture is not a double. So I'm going to first start off by just deleting every single player from my lineup, because that's how you want to kind of do your free hit. I'm just joking. We still have some midfielders here that I'll keep. I did do the transfer from Salah to De Bruyne last night, so apologies if you guys did miss that. I just had to catch that De Bruyne price rise, and I knew because I was going to use a chip, I don't mind kind of taking Salah out and having that price drop, because I can always just bring him back in either on the free hit, or if I wild carded, I could bring him back somewhere else. So I'm going to run through kind of the template draft. I think it might be similar to my last video. So it's kind of going to be a very similar draft to that. I don't think too much has changed, but you can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments if I do a certain amount of changes. So starting off in goal, it's going to stay with De Gea. I just think out of those Man United options, I just don't know if Luke Shaw or Telles will play. The current thinking behind Luke Shaw is that they're probably going to want him for Liverpool. So if he's not at the full fitness right now, maybe just rest him for this game and then play him against Liverpool, because I don't know if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer trusts Telles as much, and that game is definitely going to be a big season-defining game. So Lindelof also comes in here for that kind of double up on that United defense, opting for the defense rather than the attack. I know that Rashford and Martial are great options as well, but I just think that Burnley fixture could be good from a defensive point of view. In terms of another goalkeeper, we can just put whoever you want. If you want me to put a special 4.0, we can go for this Peacock Farrell guy. That's an interesting surname, so we'll go for him. And then the rest of the defense is pretty much just going to be Man City. So there have been some concerns with the whole Cancelo situation after Pep's press conference today. So what basically happened is that he came off in the 45th minute. I think they played Birmingham, and then Pep Guardiola said he looks a little bit tired, and he's hoping that he'll be fine to play. But I think he will play, although all the other fullbacks for Man City right now are back, I do believe. So if you're worrying about him not starting in blank game week 18, just wait for double game week 19, then you can start stressing about some rotation. Then we're going to go for Stones, because I think both Stones and Diaz will play. If you have the budget, you might as well just bring in Diaz. If you're on a wild card, then I would prefer Diaz over Stones, because I just think he's a little bit more nailed. But for a free hit side, we need that budget, so I don't really mind having Stones in here. Then we're going to complete the 4 at the back with Tierney. So I've gone for Tierney here. I just think he's a great option. You could also maybe bring in Leno, but I personally prefer Tierney, De Gea to maybe Leno and another Manchester United defender, because I just think from an attacking point of view offers a little bit more. We'll fill in the last defender at the end, because I just want to make sure that I have enough budget for this. Says Syed Cavani could be a good option too. So that's right. It was kind of my thinking today. I do think Cavani will start. I think I mentioned this in the latest draft, that I think against Burnley, you kind of wanted a striker that is able to header the ball. And I'm not saying Martial can't header the ball, but I think that Cavani's a better header, and they might maybe play Martial out wide. We kind of don't really know what's going to happen, but I do think Cavani does have a potential to start. So a lot of people are asking about no Spurs defender, so we'll discuss that right at the end. Maybe you can see a way I can fit one in, but as of the current draft, I can't. The thing I might be able to do is I could go for a double up in defense, but that would just be kind of overkill for me as I still want Son and Kane. And there's been a lot of questions here about Ben Dayvy, so I don't know if I would go for Ben Davies if I wasn't a free hit, especially not if I wasn't a wild card. But I can't really have like 100% certainty that he's going to be starting. It's the same with Reguilon or any of the other kind of fullbacks for Spurs. It's a real kind of 50-50 on who you want to go for. So I wouldn't really recommend going for Ben Davies. I think if you want to go for a player, it's going to be Dyer or Lloris. Those would probably be the two I go for. So then kind of finalizing the rest of the midfield, I'm going to be going for Saka. There's been a lot of talk about Gundogan. Stones versus Gundogan is kind of the debate in my own team, but I think that I might be a little bit more tempted with the defense. I don't know why, I just think that I'm a little bit more safe with that, and then maybe Saka could provide more of an attacking threat. Kind of depends on what Man City's lineup's going to be. If Gundogan's going to be playing in that advanced position, then he could be good, but other than that, you might just be hoping for a nice formation there. The rest of the kind of the bench fodder I'll leave till last because we won't be talking about them too much. And then finally, I'm going to go for Lacazette, Martial. I'm kind of hoping there's not too much in between it. Obviously, if we go for Lacazette, I'm going to be hoping that he does better than Martial. But if you want to go for another Manchester United attacker, that's perfectly fine if you want to go for that. I've kind of in a little bit of a dilemma because I don't think there's too much between Burnley and Crystal Palace. So Lacazette is a lot cheaper than other options. Maybe not Cavani, but I don't know if I have that much courage to kind of put him in. And then the rest of the kind of team picks itself. You're just going to go for some super cheap options. I know a lot of people were asking about, I think it's Douglas. So if you want to go for Douglas, you have to go on the PC version, and then he's 3.8 million there. So if you need the budget, you can go for him. Also, another player I like that will probably be my first bench option is going to be Berkey from Sheffield United. So sorry, I was just a little bit dazed there, couldn't really find him. And then finally, to wrap up the whole front line, I'm going to be going for Davis. I just think that, I know he's not going to start, but that also allows us to then upgrade Douglas to Mitchell. So if Mitchell does play, we could have another option on the bench if we need it. So this was the current draft. As you can see, 0.0 million in the bank. Just let me know if you guys can't afford that. If you can upgrade it, then just kind of go for whoever you want. Yeah, sorry if I do apologize if I'm butchering Berkey's surname. Someone did correct me in the comments. I just can't remember. Maybe Burker. Maybe that's how it is. But this is the current draft, guys. So if you want to kind of jot this down, make sure that you can afford it. Keanu's saying their thoughts on Smith Rowe. So if you really need the budget, I think he's perfectly fine at 4.4. Not going to offer you too much. He kind of might get you something, but at 4.4, there's not much pressure on him. And at least he's going to be starting. So that's why I kind of am gone for them. And there's also probably going to be questions about why no Newcastle players. So I think from an attacking point of view, can't really fit Wilson in here unless I downgrade one of the other players. And I think from a defensive point of view, the value for money is a little bit better than Wilson in my opinion. And the value for money really comes in though if you are looking at a defender. So Yedlin we've already spoken about in the preview at 4.3. He's a good option. You could also go for Darlow, but there could be some rotation there. If you want to go for Darlow, I don't think he won't start. I think he will. I think it's too soon to bring Dubravka back in. And then there are another, but that's the thing is I don't really need to go super budget in my defense because I've got Tierney, Stones, Cancelo, and Lindelof. What some people might be kind of contemplating is taking Cancelo to Diaz. But I don't know if I'm going to be doing that. I just think the upside to Cancelo, if he does start, is going to be better than Diaz has. So some people are saying, does Darlow start? So in my opinion, please, this is my opinion. It might not be true. But I do think that Darlow will start in this one. I just think that he's been on some good form in that goalkeeping position for Newcastle. So not really a reason to drop him. And Dubravka played midweek, and he did concede. I know it was a tougher game, but I still think that Darlow will score. David saying, Dave, I have 1 million left with Diaz over Stones in and suggestions for an upgrade. So if you want to go for an upgrade, I might look at maybe introducing Wilson into the lineup if you can. How come you went Douglas and Brewster to Mitchell and Davies? Because I just kind of thought, okay, so what I could do is I could bring in I couldn't really afford getting Brewster anyway. So I was only left with 4.4. That's why I could upgrade. Mitchell to Mitchell. So G-Bar, I couldn't really afford that. What you saying? 0.3 short. What should I do? That's a little bit of a tough spot. I'm trying to think. Maybe what I would do is downgrade Tierney to someone like Dyer. I think that could be probably where you go for. Mohammed asking for captaincy options. So my captaincy option is going to be Kevin De Bruyne this week. I just think that he's a good, not necessarily one of the best or if the best option, but I think in my own perspective, he's the best option. I think Fernandes is also good, a captaincy option. Son, Kane are always good. I just think that De Bruyne, probably from my perspective, because I'm doubling up on the Spurs assets, I might not want to put all my eggs in one basket. Will Reguilon start? That's also a really tough spot to be in, and why I'm not really kind of going for any of the Spurs fullbacks, because there could be some rotation there. Any risks that Dyer might not start? As Ahmed. So I'm not a Spurs fan, so someone might correct me, but I'm pretty sure that he's the favoured centre-back at the moment. Dyer instead of Lindelof. You could do that if you have the money. That could also be an upgrade you do. Hakeem saying FPL website down. So what we're probably going to do before we confirm this is we're going to be kind of just, I'll load up the website. So you can see here, even on my third world country internet, the FPL website is still active. So I'm just kind of holding thumbs that it doesn't go down. So if it does go down for you, just maybe refresh. I don't really know if it's going to be like a territorial thing. Maybe it's in your specific country. But for me right now, there's kind of no problems with the FPL website. But what I would kind of recommend is maybe getting those transfers in a little bit before the deadline. So what we could do is maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes before the deadline, we will confirm this team just to make sure everything's right and we do handle everything. Extra 0.3 million, maybe De Gea to Lloris. So that's one of the moves you could do if you don't want to do Lindelof to Dyer. It all kind of depends on how you guys want to play it. For me, that Fulham game and the Fulham Burnley game and the Crystal Palace game, I don't think there's too much between that. It's really just kind of a decision on who you think is going to get a clean sheet. If you want to spread out your teams, maybe you don't want to have a double up in your defense, that's not your strategy, then I would maybe differentiate your defense. But for me right now, going for double Man City, double United, it's not the end of the world for me because I still think they have good fixtures. Maguire starting, so Maguire will start, I do believe. I think it's going to be Maguire and Lindelof because Bailly apparently in yesterday's training, he trained for about half the session, I think. He was taken off in that FA Cup game because of a little bit of an injury, taken off at half time. So I think that Lindelof, Maguire will be the partnership this week. I just don't know who's going to be on the fullback positions. Definitely Wan-Bissaka. So if you want to go for some safety, maybe go for Wan-Bissaka. But I don't know between Shaw and Telles who's going to start. Edison or Stefan, who's going to start? I think Edison will. Is Sterling starting? So I don't know if Sterling's going to start. If you guys want to go for a mega differential, then maybe go for him. But I just don't think it's worth going for Sterling and having to downgrade someone like Kane just because I want Sterling and there's no kind of guarantee he starts. Aston saying the website just went down in SA. So what I'll do is before I do confirm it, I will kind of just refresh the page and make sure that everything is loading. But on my side, it looks fine. So don't worry too much, guys. I don't think, touch wood, yeah, I don't think the website's going to go down. Will Cavani start? So I think if I was to be kind of the Man United manager, I would heavily consider starting Cavani just because I think he gives you that aerial threat versus someone like Martial. And against a low block side like Burnley, that could be quite advantageous. Lloris or Dyer for Spurs. If you're going purely on Lloris versus Dyer, I would go for Dyer because I don't know if you've noticed, but he takes the occasional free kick. So that could be a potential there for a massive haul if he gets a clean sheet and then also gets a free kick. I mean, imagine that. For a centre-back, not too shabby. Samuel saying not fancying Smith Rowe over Saka. So the only reason I would consider going for Smith Rowe is if I could upgrade another position. But I just can't. If I downgraded him, Saka to Smith Rowe, I couldn't afford Wilson in the front line. So I'm just going and using that budget instead to get Saka because I think maybe from an attacking point of view, it offers a little bit more of an advantage. Sakin saying, make the transfers, bro. So I'm going to be a little bit patient here. Maybe wait another 5 minutes. I'm still listening to some suggestions. Why'd you always wait so long? It gives us anxiety, says Todd. I just want to make sure that everything is according to plan. I mean, maybe something happens in the last 5 minutes, the Premier League gets cancelled, a lion gets released in London, and then all the games are cancelled or something. So that's why I'm kind of just waiting for as long as possible. The captain's going to be Kevin De Bruyne, and the vice captain is probably going to be Fernandes. Saka or Neto, so that's a tough spot. I would kind of be tempted by Neto if I could afford him, because I think basically guaranteed to start. Everton have been a little bit hit or miss defensively, and he's one of those main talisman for Wolves at the moment. So I think that that's an upgrade that I would do, especially if you have someone like Lacazette up front, because then you're kind of covering your Arsenal attack. Doubling up on the Arsenal attack, I just kind of favor the Crystal Palace fixture a little bit more than the Burnley one. Jesus thoughts, so that's an interesting option if you can afford him. It's one of those where I would kind of only do it if you want to go for a mega differential. You could argue that you want to be differential on a free hit, but I still think that I have my own limits. So that's why I would be tempted by Jesus, but it's the same thing with City as always. I'm only going to take a punt on them if I have some confirmed news that they will be starting. The running slots and Dayvy help. I'm on a wild card. Do I go for Antonio? So Antonio is one of those options that it's going to have to be a punt because of his fitness. If I knew that he was going to be fit and he had a kind of a history of being fit this season, then I would have considered that. But because of his injury problems this season, I would be swayed a little bit. So if you're wild carding, not too much pain there because it is a wild card. It's a free transfer. So just bring him in and just hope that he starts. I saw FPL Giant mentioning that whole Southampton versus Leeds game. So just a little bit of an update on that. Apparently, because Shrewsbury have to play Southampton, they're considering postponing that game because they want to play the FA Cup round in next midweek. So that's kind of going to be a bummer if they don't have a double game week, and that's going to have to be something we consider. Lacazette, a 60-70 minute man. Is it worth downgrading him and upgrading elsewhere? So with me, I'm kind of fine with even if it is like a 70 minutes. I would hope maybe not a 60 minute, maybe a 70 minute. But because of the fact that I think that he was rested in the previous game, that could maybe lead him to having some more minutes here. And that's what I'm kind of hoping for. If you want to upgrade him to someone like Martial Cavani, you could do that. If you wanted to downgrade him to Wilson to upgrade another department, you can. But for me, it doesn't really make that much sense. I mean, let's just see if I went Lacazette to Wilson here. I don't think it would have given me any money anyway to upgrade Saka. You see, I only have 7 million, so I can't even afford one of those other options. So that's why it's almost like my budget is coming to bite me a little bit here because my selling value is pretty terrible this season. So I've seen a lot of drafts there with Lacazette. They've also have Rashford. So if you can do that, that's basically the perfect scenario to be in. But unfortunately, my team value is trash, so I can't do that. Shane saying is Shaw nailed or Telles start? So I can't answer that one. In my personal opinion, I think Telles might start this one because I think they might save Shaw for the Liverpool game. I don't trust that Lacazette will start, but the thing in front of me is that he was rested in the FA Cup, has been on good form. So what's in front of me is I do think he will. So that's kind of my thinking behind it. I mean, if he doesn't start, that's just going to have to be something that we take on the chin. But in front of me, I've got good news about him. That's what I'm kind of trying to explain. Foden is a good differential. Should I get him? So I read something that he's played the last 3 games. So he might be rested in this one. It's just the total Man City lineup. If you're going to get him, just be prepared for him to be benched. Unfortunately, that's it. Tierney and Smith Rowe or Holding and Saka. I would go for Tierney and Smith Rowe. Is Yedlin a good option? I think that he is. I think at that 4.3, you can't really go wrong with that. You can go Laka to Rashford with some marginal downgrade. So I could, if I go Lacazette to Ever, maybe, I can't really think of another forward that I want besides Wilson. Then I maybe could afford him, but I'm pretty happy with Lacazette. I mean, if there's kind of one game week to own a player, it's probably Lacazette because I don't really want him for the long term. And that's just kind of the strategy. I like the whole team synergy that I have here, and that's kind of what I'm going to go for. Kevin Mann says 10 minutes to go, so that is true. So at the 10-minute mark, I will activate all the transfers. I know some of you guys might be getting a little bit antsier. People saying confirm. Thanks, I appreciate it, Brad. Thanks for the kind words. Replacements for KDB, I can't afford him. So can you afford Sterling? I think Sterling and KDB are probably around the same price. Okay, so maybe you can afford Sterling. I mean, you might as well, but I would 100% try and afford KDB somehow. So downgrade one of the defenders, but KDB is almost an essential player. I do not think any Wolves players are worth it. So it's not that I don't think that the Wolves/Everton players are worth it. I just think that game is a little bit hard to call, because if you look at a game like Spurs-Fulham, on paper, Spurs should win that game. But Wolves-Everton, that could go any way, a draw, either win. I just can't really predict it in my mind, and that's why I'm not going for any of those players. It's almost similar to the Sheffield United-Newcastle game. I can see that being a 0-0, or I can see Newcastle going on a rout. Who to captain? I would captain De Bruyne this week. There's three options that I would probably look at: De Bruyne, Fernandes, and Kane. I prefer Kane over Son for this specific game. It's not like the Leeds game. I think that Kane's a better option this week. So out of these three, I think all three of them hopefully will perform. It's a little bit tough not to go for Fernandes because of how consistent he's been. But I think that De Bruyne in this case, I think that game's going to be a little bit more open. So what we will be doing is we will be confirming this, and I will be playing the free hit. So confirm transfers and play free hit. Finally, this game week is going to be done. Hopefully no more postponements, but I'm going to be playing the free hit there. And then should we start Peacock Farrell just for the banter? Probably not. I'll be putting De Gea in, bringing Saka on for Berkey, and Stones on for Davis. And then I think this bench order is probably going to be what I go for. I think that Berkey, if he does start, maybe you could get something if he has to come off the bench. Mitchell, rotation risk. He's just kind of a cheap option. So that's going to be it. It's going to be a 4-4-2. If there are any changes that we can make, we can still make them. We've got about 9 minutes to go here. The site still seems to be up. I will just refresh it to make sure. But yes, so far we do have the free hit active there. So no, I was not baiting you guys and clickbaiting you this week with the videos. We have used the free hit, so don't worry on that one. Tempted by Reguilon or Doherty. May play safe with Diaz, says Juan. So I would probably go for Diaz in your case, because kind of predicting Doherty, Reguilon, Aurier, Davies, there's a lot of them to go by. So it's kind of up in the air who's going to start. Jesus or Lacazette, I would probably think that Jesus is a little more of a punt because he's not guaranteed to start. But if he does, the upside, I think, is a lot higher than Lacazette. You went for Cancelo, so I did go for Cancelo. I just think that out of those Man City fullbacks, a lot of them have come back from injury/illness. So I think that Cancelo will start this one. Whether he starts double game week 19 is another question. If he is rested in blank game week 18, I think he looks good for double game week 19, because then you can kind of say that he's had his rest. But I do think in this game that he will play. Have you gone with Lindelof instead of Wilson because of budget constraints? So basically, the budget constraints with Lacazette not getting like Rashford or something is because I just can't afford them. And then I would have to make downgrades in other departments that I don't really want to. No worries, Shane. Hopefully it is a good team and this week is good. I think if we use our free hit and we don't get a green arrow, then we're doing something wrong. So that's basically what I'll say about this team. 0.7 upgrade of Smith Rowe, as I can't afford Saka. So if you have 0.7 in the bank, I might just look at upgrading one of your other bench players. Maybe go for Lloris instead of De Gea if you're not too keen on that Man United defense. Or maybe take Lindelof to Dyer. Diaz and Son or Sterling and Yedlin. Ben, I would go for the first options there. I think Diaz and Son is a little bit more safe. Kane captain. So Kane, Fernandes, De Bruyne. I don't think you can go wrong. Obviously, those players might not return. But out of those three, I think that you are looking quite good. Do you think it's a risk having 11 players from just 4 teams? Probably in a normal game week, but because there's only 6 fixtures, I don't really mind it. And if you do look at the fixtures, on paper, they should be for one team, like should be heavily weighted to one side. So if you were betting on the game, the odds are probably good for the players you do have. I think what we might do here is we might just do some renovations with the lineup. Let me just try and... I want to try and get Son on the other side as Saka. Okay, you're probably saying I'm wasting my time, yes. So I'll do it at the end if we don't have anything. Aston's saying Stones plus Saka or Walker or Wan-Bissaka, Gundogan. I would go for Stones and Saka. No worries, Ben. Appreciate you dropping by. Cheers, mate. Kane and Wan-Bissaka or swap Wan-Bissaka for Yedlin. And so I would go for Kane and Wan-Bissaka in your case. And the Lindelof to Wan-Bissaka, is it all right? So Winston, that would be one of the upgrades I would go for. Because basically, Wan-Bissaka is guaranteed to start this game, whereas Lindelof, there might be some question marks. I don't think so. I'm pretty sure he will start this game, but you never kind of know. Dyer or Saka for the starting 11. I always kind of go for the attacker, so I would probably go for Saka in your case. Is Lindelof starting 11 100%? So I wouldn't say 100%, but I'm pretty confident on him playing. Start Smith Rowe or Gundogan. Stefan, go for Gundogan. Or Steven, sorry. Will De Gea guaranteed to start? He should. Basically what's happened is that Henderson started the cup games and then De Gea started the league games. Can't afford Lindelof. Fernandes, a good budget option. Yes, so if you need budget in your defense, go for the Newcastle assets. That's basically the general consensus that I would say. Elvis saying, hurry up, 5 minutes. Here we go. That is true. So please get your captains. Please get your teams. If you want to make your teams aesthetically pleasing, then you can always do that. I'm going to try. So we've got the Arsenal side. We got the Spurs side. But now we have to try and get... Okay, so maybe swap Lindelof out. Okay, no, this is just going to mess it up. So we'll just have the Arsenal side on our team and then a little bit of organized chaos on the other side. But I'm fine with it. Callum Wilson or Tierney. I just favor Tierney in this case because he has an attacking and a defensive threat. Holding a good shout over Tierney. So I don't think you can say a good shout, AJ, because I think that Tierney is a step above him. But if you need an alternative, then go for Holding if you need the budget. On a free at Stones or Fernandes, says George Taylor. 100% go for Stones. Stones to Dyer. I still favor the Man City defense. I would only not double up on the Man City defense if you want to double up in the attack. I would definitely have 3 Man City players though. Start Mitchell or Berkey. I would go for Berkey. I think that he's probably going to start this week, and I kind of favor Arsenal scoring against Crystal Palace. Hisham saying start Peacock Farrell for the bands. I could do that, but I just don't want to wish kind of bad karma on myself here. And Cavani, Martial, or Saka and Lacazette. I think that Saka and Lacazette in your case might be better. Diaz will play. I think Diaz and Stones will be the centre-back pairing this week because as far as I know, Laporte and Ake are out injured and Garcia is still ill / I don't really know what's happening with him. Why not Lloris Burrow? I can't afford Lloris. Diaz or Stones. So Thomas, if you can afford Diaz, go for him. But if you can't, like me, go for Stones. There's not too much between them. Obviously, one of them could get a goal. That's just kind of 50-50. Vincent saying time's up, pants down. So Vincent, you're 2 minutes late. So maybe you're getting load shedding or electricity outages on your side. Diaz or Stones, Adam. So it's like I said, if you can afford Diaz, go for him. But if you can't, there's no problem getting Stones. Stefan or Edison will play. I think that Edison will play in this one. Unfortunately, if you wanted to get Stefan in, maybe, but I don't think he's going to start. Mahrez or Foden. Henry, I would probably go for Foden and then use the budget elsewhere because I just think that out of those two, with the rotation risk, you'd rather have less budget in that. Is it a risk only having one playing bench player? So you're kind of asking me that question because I don't think Mitchell will start. So Berkey's my hopefully only bench player. But on a free hit, there's not too much to worry about because you should pick a starting 11 that's generally quite concrete. Gundogan or Saka. So if you already have your kind of defense settled, then I would consider Gundogan over Saka just because I think that 3-Man City players is essential. If you can afford Lloris, then better to get him right. I don't know if it's necessarily better, but if you want to differentiate your defense and don't want 2 Man United defenders, then go for that. No worries, Vincent. Happy I could make you laugh, buddy. Georgia-in-law saying, good luck, Butas. Aware, Dayvy. How's it going? Hopefully you're good. Norris started over Peacock Farrell last game. Who does Peacock Farrell play for even? Burnley. But isn't Pope going to play anyway? I'm just kind of going for this one because I don't really think he's going to start anyway. Let's just pop a refresh here for the good luck. So hopefully, so everything's been activated. The free hit is active, guys. 1 minute left. Please get your transfers in. If you're going to use your wild card, your free hits, get that confirmed. If you want to get your team aesthetically pleasing, do that, but don't risk a change in your starting 11, please. I don't want any tears in the comments. Leno/Wilson for Mendy/Antonio next game week. Okay, so Nasri, because this is a next game week question, I can quickly touch on it. Leno/Wilson, that's what I probably would do. So I would wait a little bit, just get some injury news, Nasri, and then make that move. A deadline has been hit, guys. I won't lie to you. I'm probably a little bit relieved that it was the deadline, because you guys have known how stressful this week has been with these cancellations, these postponements. So hopefully double game week 19 doesn't have any surprises for us, and we can simply just go into it, take a couple of hits, maybe a minus 42 or minus 44. Actually, you can't take a minus 42. Sorry, it's not a multiple of minus 4. Take a minus 44 or something, and then go on and smash the bench boost and get like last season, 138 points or whatever. So thanks so much for joining this deadline with Dayvy Livestream, guys. I do appreciate it. Also do appreciate all the support on the channel recently, and hopefully that means a very good blank game week 18. And as I always say, hopefully the green arrows are forever in your favor. I'm going to be signing off. It's been Dayvy FPL, and I'm out. Cheers. Bye.